Tyler, thank you so much. And by the way, for Father's Day, Tyler, I got my 14-ounce heavy bag gloves in.
Yay! Glad to hear that. Now we need to get you set up with a speed bag. You got to have that. We'll have to talk about the equipment again. Okay, so coming from the perspective of someone with a self-destructive past, that stemmed out of more than just the physical disability that I was struggling with in my 30s and 40s, really mostly my 40s. There was already an issue. So everybody's raised differently. Everybody has different parents. Mine never really thought about teaching us how to build ourselves up, how to be our own cheerleader, how to be our own coach, how to be our own whatever. They didn't think about it because they were raised in a different era and in a different environment where you just did certain things and you went to work and you did what you did. And, nobody had time to think about all of this. We are in a generation now where we have so much easily accessible tech and information that I think we have too much time on our hands, honestly. Now, I just spent hours yesterday and today trying to update something in my computer and banging my head against the wall, proverbially. But the reality is that is the least problem in my life. Okay, set it up to run itself. You know what I mean? Like, this is not like carrying water in from the creek and milking the cows and all of those things. My family were cotton farmers in Oklahoma. That's a hard life, especially during the Dust Bowl. But what we consider difficult now is such, like, it's nothing. And yet we amplify that. This world could use more people like Joshua Busby. He was amazing. The last thing that we ever talked about what he did was he made me laugh. That's my memory when I opened that DM, is me saying LOL, and I really was laughing, not just saying that. See, that was his go-to, was to leave joy with other people. So when you walk into a room, whether physically or virtually, then that should be your go-to, is to leave people with joy, with light, with all of those things. In 2006, when I couldn't walk, I needed a wheelchair to even get to my doctor appointments because that's what I needed because my body was not functioning correctly. Joshua spent the latter portion of his life in a wheelchair with no hope of coming out of it, and yet he had hope within his soul and wanted to communicate that to others for whatever reasons he had. We know, of course, he was faith-based. So to me, it's super important to remember that I was in a wheelchair, but I came out of it. My outcome was different. If I were to go looking for a wheelchair to use now, you'd think I was crazy because my body doesn't need that now. And yet we validate people every single day for going back to their proverbial virtual wheelchair in an emotional and mental level. Like, oh, well, they went through this and so they need that. Well, maybe you don't. It was finally suggested to me by the very excellent mentors I've had since 2018. You don't need that. You are more than that. You have more than that ahead of you. And I had to myself decide, oh, I need to step away from that mentality. My body's not in that state anymore, and my mind does not need to be either. I acknowledge I have medical trauma. I have domestic violence trauma. All that's in my background. But I am not in a prison to that because I'm capable of making the decisions to move forward. So if I were to come into this room and, hi, I'm just having such a rough day and, oh my God, this is going on and that's going on, man, you guys would not want to listen to anything I have to say. And I wouldn't blame you because I know better now. One of the best things I was taught was that scene from Battleship where the guy goes, "We're going to die." And what was the response? Yep, we're going to die. We're all going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Everybody's, but not today. So you don't need to make the choice to put yourself on that track to either a mental and emotional or a physical death. If you make the decision, I'm going to find something worth living for, and I'm going to put that kind of intention out there to the people that I talk to because I want to pay it forward, because I want to help others, because I want to see others succeed, then you'll stop bleeding your trauma on other people. And I understand trauma very well. But I also know that whatever you put your focus on is what's going to be amplified. And the only reason I've been able to climb out of the physical disability is because I made the decision to pull myself out of the mental disability of watering the weeds.
Watering the Weeds. Yeah, that's my favorite movie, Coach Tyler. By the way, my dad had one of my other favorite quotes. He would say, I once complained I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. So that puts all my complaining, at least for me, into perspective.
Thank you for listening to First Light Warrior podcast. You were just listening to a conversation on X Spaces with Dr. Heath on Mind Over Matters, punishing others with your depression, anxiety, trauma. Our goal here is, as always, empowering the savage, not average mindset and a lifestyle of no excuses. Let's talk about the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2020. Romain Grosjean's wreck. To cut to the chase, I saw this video a couple of months ago and it was striking, to say the least. And it was used for a motivational message, so of course it got my attention. He was jockeying for position when he veered right, lost control, and hit the barrier. I did a little bit of research. Apparently about 192 kilometers or 119 miles per hour. Help arrived fast. The car was torn in half. It was obliterated, and there was an explosion of fire. So fire control is deployed. Here are some stats for perspective. Formula One burn temp is around 800 to 1,000 degrees centigrade, 1,470 to 1,830 degrees Fahrenheit. And the blaze was also fueled by the lithium-ion battery, driving the temperatures potentially much higher. I can't wrap my mind around that. It's literally not survivable if you were right in the middle of it, and he seemed to be. They couldn't even see him. They were searching. At impact, he himself said it was 56 Gs. It made his body weight 3.9 tons. Red flag is issued. All slowed. The faces are stunned. The pit crew, everyone, teary-eyed, fearful, and then silence. Everything stopped. All but the fight to find him and his fight to escape. Because you see, he could not just stand up and walk out. He was trapped. Pinned. If you listen to his account, when he saw with clarity that he was in a fire, he had to decide, this is no longer an option of waiting for help. I either accept death with the question of how painful it will be, how long it will take, or fight. He's here to tell the story today because of the decision that he made in that moment. Hands burning, he got to the barrier. I imagine the bodily trauma and confusion trying to find his way out. But he managed to begin to climb over. Once they saw him, the fire control was directed on the space he was in, and a hand reached out to assist. But if he had not made the decision, I am not going to die here today, I am not going to quit, he would not be with us. With flames still exploding, they focused more on keeping him as cool as possible and getting him away from that fire. And he walked out. But for 2 minutes and 43 seconds, As far as his family was concerned, he was dead. There did not appear to be any level of hope. And then Romain refused a gurney. In spite of a broken foot, he insisted on walking to the ambulance. And although assisted, walk he did. Because within his decision to fight and to live was the importance to let others know, I am okay. I survived. I'm getting out of this. I think of it as an illustration of paying it forward and being conscientious about the others who are watching your decisions and your actions. We are not on this planet to be isolated individuals. If you want to lead by example, then you must set an example that is worthy of following. And that involves accepting bad things will happen. But when they do, it is your opportunity to strengthen yourself and create more within your story. What a story that man has to share. It was life-changing. It did change some of his decisions and direction. But what an amazing illustration of rising from the ashes. No one thought that anyone could have possibly survived that crash. Consider the wreckage that may be in your life from the many things that you have survived. Is it your decision to stay there? To die in that fire? Or is there some small glimmer, some reason that you can hold on to that tells you, I need to fight? You may have children. You may not have children. You may still have your parents with you. I'm blessed to have that. You may have friends that care about you. For those of us who have been through the self-destructive habits in the past, this may be a hard thing to hear. But a powerful truth was presented to me along the way. And that is the choice to quit, the choice to self-destruct is selfish. I was rather shocked to read a discussion recently online where people were talking about the decision to eliminate yourself from the planetary equation being bravery. Why are we normalizing that? Why are we giving people that kind of an out? Why is anyone labeling that as acceptable? Now, while I don't believe in insulting people and talking about being cowardly, the statement that was made to me has merit. It's selfish. Because you're not thinking about the wreckage you're leaving behind. Let me talk for a moment about something that happened in the cat rescue community. Uh, it's been a couple of years now, I guess. It was over a year ago. We lost a beautiful, and I do mean beautiful inside and out, young lady who lived on the northwest coast of the United States. She was a powerhouse in the rescue community, but you must understand that the suicide rate in veterinary and rescue communities is too high. And she struggled with those demons herself. In fact, she lost her father to it when she was younger. Coming up on the anniversary date, she would always talk about it and tell everyone, it's hard, but I'm okay. She went into her usual mode, and we all really believed she was okay. She was not okay. Because some of us woke up that morning to a previously generated, automatically posted message letting everyone know that she was done and she checked out, and she was already gone. I sat up saying, no, 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 and instantly went looking for other messages to verify, and I fell apart. I didn't really know her personally. I work in the same field. I followed her work. You get to know people online and they become a part of your life. And so this really affected me. It hurt. And I thought to myself, oh no, she put this out publicly. How is this going to affect others? Because many of her followers were also very unstable in this area. And sure enough, I could see the comments pouring in. People questioning themselves. She was so strong. If she did this, who am I? And her message even said, this is not a sign for you to check out. But surely she didn't believe that would be the effect it would have for people to just say, oh, that's just her and I'm fine. That's not what happened. So many people were swayed in the direction of, why am I still here? Why do I think I can handle this? That's devastating. I've said this many times. You are setting an example every day that you're on this earth. It's your choice what kind you set. So make sure it's a good one. Make sure it's one that you would want others to follow. Myself, I would not want others to follow me down a path of destruction. I've made it my choice daily for a long time now to climb out of the level of disability and pain and despair that I lived in before. Like Romain in that fire, I looked around one day and said, I want out. I need out. I must get out. I need to fight. I want my life. I want the life I never had. I'm still here. I have a chance. And I started to fight. I did not do that alone, to be perfectly clear. The people who assisted me will tell me, and tell you, she did the work. I just said some words. But in isolation, I was never going to get there on my own because these are things that I was not taught. It was not automatic for me. So where do we go from here? Forward, because there's more, because I'm not done, because I want more, because I want to prove every one of my doctors who in the past told me what I could not do that they are wrong, because I know there are people holding their breath waiting for me to fail, and I'm going to make sure they suffocate. Because there are people who have discounted me, and I'm going to prove them wrong as well. Because there are other people who are looking at me as an example to follow, and I'm not about to let them down. Let's tie in some insight to why I rebranded to First Light Warrior. Historically, warring forces would use that time as an advantage. Maybe your enemy is still sleeping. Their guard is down. And so when would you attack? First light, when you can just barely see. But you know they're not ready for it. Only I'm not attacking a person or another army. My savage, not average tagline relates to savagely attacking the things that held me down in the past. Physically, yes, I get up at first light normally, about an hour before sunrise, but it's just an illustration of what I believe on the inside. When there's just barely a glimmer, or you at least know in which direction the sun is about to rise, head that way. And attack your goals. Attack the things that you need to tear down that are no longer benefiting you. As my dear friend, the late Dr. George Cosmides would say, how does it serve you? How does that thing serve you? If it's no longer serving you, remove it from your life. My attack has been directed on the disability the autoimmune disease, the neurological issues, the chronic pain, the heart disease, and now the new fight, fix the hypermobility issues. Those are the things to focus that energy on, not the frivolous, petty disputes on social media, not the haters who want to spew negative viewpoints about you. Let them. Not even the frustrations with tech equipment, which I have been facing the last few days. Sometimes you just need to take a deep breath and find your focus again. What thing must I get done today? And if something else is not going the way that I wish, set it aside. What is most important? Well, for me, my labs are looking pretty good now, and my inflammatory markers are down, and pretty much everything looks the way that it should. Okay. Next fight. I got my dietary choices on point, my supplements organized. Okay, squared away. Now I need to get my exercise routine back on point. So that's the next point of attack. And that needs to be the most important thing in my life, right next to my documentation, so that I can share this journey with you as well, because I do hope that it will help you. I do want to pay it forward. It's important to me to share a meaningful message because I have been on the other side of it, and now it's my turn. One of my mentors didn't like the meme that says if there's a 1% chance, fight. He's right. He said if there's a 0% chance, fight. Because it's all perspective. What negative impact is it going to have for you to make the decision, I am going to fight like hell for something better? So if it doesn't work out and you, worst case scenario, die anyway, you were productive until the last breath. There's no downside to this. And so it is, I have become the person to say, never give up, never quit. Quitting is not productive. Quitting produces nothing but negative results. This is a question of what legacy do you really want to leave behind? I am not interested in having a legacy of that girl who suffered with lupus. I don't suffer. My physical body has some challenges, but please, I am not suffering. You don't need to feel bad for me. This challenge was placed in my life because I am the person who can handle it. I am strong enough. It's time for me to step up to that, and that is what I am doing. Sympathy does not serve me. In speaking about this, it is my belief that I can transfer that mindset to others. If you learn this, everything in your life will improve, and you will be the next person paying it forward to others. My legacy should be nothing but good results, fantastic accomplishments, impressive endeavors, beautiful experiences shared, well thought out lessons, and inspiring others to also do better. That is the hope I offer you. If you have not watched the video of Romain's crash, I want to encourage you to look it up and do that. It'll change your perspective, knowing the slim chances he had to survive. You need to see it. With that in mind, that is all for today. Remember to stay savage. Thank you so much for your time. If you're not already subscribed, please take a moment to sign up. My aim is to offer content of value. The most important takeaway today: is to never allow challenges and events to define you, but rather make the focus that moment when you are dragging it to the arena on your own terms and beating it into a memory that led you to victory. Stay tuned for more, and have an amazing day.